about how this came about that you decided to do this role.
Well, Paul, or actually my agent, called me and said, Paul Hogan has a script, and he'd love for you to be a part of it, and would you read it? I said, sure. You know, I've been a fan of his since the Crocodile Dundee series. And so I read the script, and I thought it was very funny and very well put together. And at the time, I was in negotiations on another movie, and you know, I had my mind set on doing it. And when I read this, I said, no, this is something that I have to be a part of. So here I am.
What was the other movie? Or do you want to say? What kind of movie? You don't want
Yeah, it was another action movie, big summer action movie, which would probably have been great. And I wound up getting involved with anyway after this, which is kind of neat, but not in the extent that I would have, you know, had I not done this.
How did you plan this role? I mean, you play a mute, and so I mean, you can't do inflections of voice. You can't do
That's
this
right.
and that.
That's
when you
right.
shoot yourself in the foot, you can't yell.
That's right.
How did you train with someone?
Yeah, I had done some research. I had met with people who had worked with deaf people and deaf-mute people, and found out that there were different variations of being mute. You know, some people are born with partial usage of their vocal cords, and some people are born without their vocal cords completely. So this had an influence on the mindset of my character. There are also conditions mentally that stops people from being able to vocalize their expression, you know, through talking. And you know, I really had to give the character a mental background and then focus in on that, as opposed to focusing in on the lines to bring about a feeling for the character, you know, because there's a lot of things that make up a scene when you're acting. There's acting and reacting in the other actors and stuff, and so it gave me the opportunity per se to focus in on that and pay more attention to other elements around me.
I think it was Holly Hunter who said that, you know, the main thing about not talking is like the eyes and the face and expression has to do a lot with it, and especially yours, because this is a comedy. So how did you prepare for something like you look at yourself in the mirror and do that?
No. See, again, when I said to her about the research, when you have a background to somebody, it's almost like if I said, if I'd brung my uncle in here and then he said, tell us about Cuba, and he'd go, oh, well, yeah, you know, I remember when he was a little kid, and he'd try to reenact the way I would react because he knew me from way back in. His research was exposed to me all his life, so he can almost like do my impersonation like to a T because he's been exposed to me. Well, that's kind of, as an actor, what you want each character to become a relative. You want to know that character, how old he was when he had, you know, first experienced fear, experienced joy, you know, everything. So when you have a mental mindset with that, then it becomes your personality. And through your personality, you have an outlook through any experience that character goes through in any situation.
So you were like totally, you didn't want to talk through the whole movie. So was there any moment you just wanted to burst out and just, God, I can't do this, God, I gotta say something.
No.
I mean, how difficult was it? I mean, I couldn't, like, you know, I talk a lot, but I couldn't go like through the whole movie without talking.
Well, the whole thing is when you do a character, when you do a film, and you find something you like in this character, you say there's an interpretation that I can give to that role. You, when it's time, give your all to bring about that interpretation. You're not focused in on anything else, you know, because there's lights and there's people and there's smoke and there's laughter when you're doing something emotional. But if you're focused in on that character, then that character's personality becomes a reality. And that's how, when you have seasoned actors, they can bring reality to any situation. So here this character was mute. It wasn't that, oh, I want to talk, because now that's Cuba going, oh, I want to talk. But if I'm focused in on the character, Ben, because Ben never had vocal cords in his, you know, he grew up without sound, almost to the point where he didn't trust noise enough, because whistling isn't vocal cords, it's just moving air through your lips. And that's why my character didn't whistle in this, because he didn't trust sound enough to rely on it as a means of expression. So in that frame of mind, you know, I wasn't worried about blurting anything out. I was basically just trying to let my character fit in the situations he was in.
So you didn't look at any Marx Brothers films, Harpo?
No, no,
Piano?
no. I'd been exposed to some roles, but it wasn't a conscious decision to choose.
What about just the general idea of doing a comedy after doing a lot of dramatic stuff? Was that one of the main things that made you want to do the movie?
Yeah. It's like right now, I feel that I'm still building a foundation for my career. And the audience that follows me from role to role, I don't want them to close their minds off to any other possibilities. And to keep them open-minded, I like to give them different experiences. I like to bring them into, because it's another thing that got me into acting as a kid is seeing the John Ford westerns and you know the Superman movies and just any element of that would take me, the Wizard of Oz, that would take me out of reality and let me experience a whole new way of thinking, and that's what attracted me. And then I got that release from that. So now that I'm acting, I get the opportunity to bring people out of their reality and let them experience these characters through me. So that's
What was the first time you ever got a paycheck for acting?
Mm-hmm.
What was the first time? Can you remember that you actually...
What film you mean?
Yeah,
or what
film,
what job?
Yeah, I mean, you were acting, you said, gee, I got money for this.
Yeah, I guess it was Hill Street Blues, which is the first thing I got paid for. I'd gotten rewards from acting through high school. Through the first competition I was in was a DTSC film festival, where I competed against other kids in Southern California area, and took first place, and got a trophy, and got to perform my monologue in front of all the schools in the Southern California, all the schools that were present there.
What was your monologue about?
Well, I did a Shakespearean monologue about the character Feste in Twelfth Night. And when I was in front of, what I was going to say, I'm sorry, is I move around a lot in high school. I did. I went to 4 different high schools because, my parents had split, and so I lived with my grandma for a while, and things weren't as nice as they are now. But after I'd won that competition, which I think was my sophomore or my junior year, when I went to the next high school, I immediately made friends because I remembered that, and they saw the performance and stuff. So it was like, that was definitely the first reward from acting.
Before some of the other rewards or turning points, that's a wonderful one.
Mm-hmm.
Could you kind of trace a couple others?
Okay. There was one thing that I thought was going to be a major turning point, but this kind of affected me too. Is there was a big writer's strike back in, I think, 87 or 9 or 8, and they had a lack of material to write about. So they went and they rehashed all the old television series, and they brought the scripts back, and they were going to make shows about these old scripts. And this was time I was involved in TV. I hadn't been given the opportunity to portray anything in film, so it was just television. And my agent calls and says, yeah, they're bringing back the Hardy Boy mysteries. Okay? And I thought, yeah, great, I'll meet, I don't care, So I go on to the casting director, and me and another actor, Claude Brooks, we went in there, and she said, I've known you both from prior auditions, and they're going to remake the Hardy Boy mysteries, but I was thinking, why don't we do something different and we make them black? So I thought, oh, that's great. So we screen tested with this character, and the network goes, no, we sold the show one way, and we're not going to change our idea, but we want to give you your own show and call it Cuba and Claude, which is funny, which is amazing. And I did the pilot to it, and who knows, I could still be today on the series, but the pilot didn't work or whatever. But that was like something that was a neat reward, I guess, for doing what you're doing.
What about John Singleton?
And then, of course, that was the obvious one. So
How did John Singleton find you? Had you seen you?
Again, I had met with a casting director who had seen me from prior auditions on television shows, and she brought me in to read in almost a cattle call situation. Jackie Brown. She says, here's a few pages from the script, and go out 10 minutes later, come back in, and we'll do the scene. And I went out and I came back in and I did the scene. And she said, oh, this is great. I want you to come in for a callback. And I thought, oh, great, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she said, but I want you to take the script with me. And so I took the script home, and that was the first time I got to read it. And I was like, wow, this is deep, you know. And I came back and I met John and Steve, and we just talked, you know. And he said, yeah, you know, just because of, I guess it was because I never really was in one place too long, so I got this removed from characteristic about me that he thought Trey had, because he had to remove himself from the situation. So I said, yeah, I'd love you to come back and screen test. And I screen tested, and I screen tested again, and I screen tested again. On the first day of rehearsals, he said to me, I'm sorry, you know, because they said I had gotten the part, and they said, I'm sorry, but the studio wants you to screen test again upstairs, and I screen tested again, and I finally got it. So it's a great opportunity.
Were you surprised at how young John?
Yeah, we were both the same age. I was born January 2nd, he was born January 6th or 4th or something, and, you know, we're the exact same age, and here he was sitting, you know. Yeah, I was very surprised.
With this film, a lot of stuff you have to do in the Western writing and shooting and all of that. Had you had an experience with horses and
Yes.
with guns before that, so was all that easy for you?
Well, I'd ridden before, but they really polished me and Paul up. They had us riding all these mountains around here for like weeks before we started filming. And then every day of filming, we rode. And they were like, oh, by the end of this movie, you won't want to see a horse. And not me, man. It was, because they teach you it's a rhythm, you know, because the horse runs. A horse is an animal that runs. A car, you sit and you drive. A bike, you sit and you drive. But with a horse, you really have to participate in the run. You know what I mean? And when you understand that you're not just sitting and the horse is riding and you're riding with the horse, then the rhythm comes in. And, you know, that's how these guys would ride all day long and not have to be sore or anything. You know, and it was neat to finally learn that. Yeah.
And the guns? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the guns were a blast too, you know. We got the sawed-off shotguns and all of these really neat custom things that were, you know, respectful of the time era and stuff. And yeah, it was fun. The horses was really an attraction though.
Yeah, but the whole Western theme, your character essentially had the whole hat and, you know, likes to shoot him up, but he never does. So how fun was it waking up and in the Arizona mountains?
It was
just
amazing.
dress up and
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a spiritual experience, because here you are in the middle of Moab, Utah, and you have the buttes and the bluffs around you, and then you see these people dressed up like Indians on horseback, you know, and you just see nothing. You don't see buildings or anything, and you're just like in the middle of this. And you're on horseback and you're riding. I mean, it really puts you in the time period. Mentally, it was really a neat experience.
What's your next project going to be?
I'm doing a film called Losing Isaiah. Myself, Halle Berry, Samuel Jackson, and Jessica Lange. And
What kind of role do you play in that?
well, I play the love interest to Halle Berry's character. Yeah,
Not bad, is it?
No, it's fine. She, you know, this role in this movie isn't usually like my characters are really the baseline for the story and, you know, pivotal characters, but this one's really a supporting role. And, you know, I heard who was involved with it, you know, Jessica Lange, you know, and I thought, yeah, this would be something that would be great to be a part of, so, you know.
What can you tell us about the story?
Yeah, I always talk too much about it, but because it's a really touchy subject. There was a book based on it, the screenplay of a, and I'm pretty sure it's a real incident that happened in the news. I can't be for certain, but there was a woman who was a junkie. She was strung out, and she has a baby. And she leaves the baby in a garbage can, you know, because she's like really in this crazy frame of mind. And that's Halle Berry's character. And a white social worker the garbage men find the baby, bring the baby to the hospital, bring it back to life, and the social worker comes and adopts the baby, keeps the baby for 3 years, and then the mother finds out about it and petitions to get the baby back. And my character helps clean her up, so to speak. You know, he's like this element in her life. Actually, she there's more to it than that. She she cleans herself up because she goes to prison and stuff, and he's just a stable element in her life, or at the same time a confusion. It's just this crazy script, but it's really a very, very heavy piece and very interesting. And
are you shooting that now?
no, we don't start till Monday is my first day of rehearsal, and I get married on Sunday. So
In real life?
yeah.
Oh, who are you
Thank
marrying?
you. Sarah, a girl, Sarah Kopfer. We've been dating for 7 years.
How does she spell her last name?
Kapfer.
Is she an actress?
No, she's a teacher's aide in elementary school. Yeah.
You two meet.
High school.
Oh,
Yeah, she's
Little
been around for a
sweetheart.
while. Yeah.
Where are you getting married? Is it going to be a church wedding or?
Yeah, something like that. I don't like to talk about it. You know, you don't really have much. You know, I mean, if it was like you and I talking, but you know,
What's just
me, you, and the world.
Well, I got to ask one thing. You're an
Okay.
actor, and you've been sensational in your portrayals and all, and you've done
Thank
so
you.
many things. When you proposed to a girl, was it something very dramatic?
Yeah, I guess I could. Okay, I could tell you that because this is was really neat. I found out the ring she liked, and I got the ring, and you know I'd run around to get it because I had just decided because our 6-year anniversary was coming up, and I wanted to do something, and I knew something I knew she wasn't expecting. There was a place we used to go when the first year we started dating, which was on Mulholland, overlooking all of the valley, and it was like this rocky cliff hang, and usually nobody drives up there in a car. You wouldn't get up there. You have to have a truck, and I have Wagoneers. I've always had Wagoneers. When I first started dating her, I used to drive up it and stop, and she'd be scared, hanging off the cliff and stuff. So I decided that night I drive her up there, and I drove her up there and at night, and she was like, "No, I can't believe we're coming back to this place." And then I walked out and took her out in front of the headlights, because it was nighttime and the city was behind me, and I dropped to a knee and asked her to marry me.
Boy, is that dramatic. How long did it take her to say yes?
It took her a while because she was crying. I was like, "Is that a yes?" You didn't say yes. You didn't say yes. And then she said yes over and over and over again. Last March 13th.
Oh, well, gee, remember that. That's terrific.
Yeah.
So you said the wedding is this weekend coming up?
This Sunday, yeah. We didn't plan the film to open. We had planned this wedding for a year to open this day, and then I heard the movie was going to open in June, and then, not June, I'm sorry, at the end of March. And I was like, oh, that's close. But, well, it isn't, and then they pushed it to the 11th. I was like, oh, no!
Well, as a recently married man, I highly recommend the institution.
Oh,
Great.
wow.
Same here.
Congratulations.
I've only been in about a month.
Oh, congratulations, man. Right on.
But are you nervous or are you just excited?
No, I have all of this stuff going on. I'm not to say nervous. Nervous wouldn't be a good word because I'm sure that'll happen like the day before or whatever. But it's just so much that it's almost like I'm really split between promoting the movie. I'm flying around like crazy, and the wedding, and then the film that I start, and the European travel or the worldly travel that I have to do for more promotions, and it's just kind of hectic right now.
So who's directing this new film?
Stephen Gyllenhaal, Mark Gyllenhaal.
How come that? I mean, you starred and been the chief character in a movie. Then you've been a co-star. Now you're doing one which is like a supporting role. I mean, is it you don't mind? That's your choice. Is it just the role that drives you?
It's definitely
It's
the
not
role.
whether the size or
No. It's if there's a role in something that I feel that I can bring an essence to the character, something happening internally with the character, be it a comedy or a drama, then that really attracts me.
Your agent, it doesn't get up in arms saying, "Now you."
Yes, of course. It drives me crazy. But the work comes first.
How do you deal with fame and celebrity status, and how do fans react to you?
I deal with it as far as the business goes, and I deal with it informationally. People, they like to know about celebrities. They like to know how they got there and how they can relate themselves to that person and feel a sense of, if he can do it, I can, and I totally respect that. But with the advantages, I don't really fall for the obvious, really, if there's too much recognition, I try to avoid it. I used to read my reviews all the time, and now I just stopped because good reviews or bad reviews on the film, it's like still it puts you in weird moods, and I do my work and I do what's required of me, and I try to do it that way.
What about the fans? How do they they react to? They recognize you now.
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah. It's kind of neat. It really is. Yeah, it's different. Every situation you could probably think of has happened, you know. Sometimes it's wonderful. Sometimes it's really touching. Sometimes it's kind of weird.
What are some of the funniest that you could tell us? Or the weirdest? I don't know.
Well, just like, you know, I had a waitress. Oh, no, I can tell you a better one. I was getting, you know, you have to do blood tests when you get married. And the lady didn't recognize who I was until we got in the room. And she missed my vein 3 times because she was so preoccupied that another nurse had to come in and do it. And, you know, if I wasn't like, I guess if I wasn't famous or something, I'd have been like, are you crazy? But then it might not have happened. She might have got it the first time. But because there was that element in it, I just kind of was like, yeah, that's okay. That's all right. Just get the other nurse, would you please? Thank you very much. Yeah, it was crazy.
Your arm becomes a pincushion.
I know. They went over here. Yeah, went over here, and then she went over here. And then the other nurse came in, and then she went over here.
How does your
And then they said I had small veins. Do I really have that small a vein? What is she talking about?
how does your wife could be react to something like that?
She was standing there too. That's the other thing. She went over to her, boop, got her vein right off, and then went over to me. I was just like, boop, 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 just looking around. She just kind of just takes it in stride, you know. She it depends. There's different reactions to different things, you know. Sometimes there's, you know, you go, I don't know. She's handling it so far.
Family?
My family's very proud and as involved as they can be, you know. It's just funny.
John Singleton or Spike Lee or anyone come to you and said, you know, there's this other project I'm working on, I want you for it? Or
Not yet.
not yet?
Spike Lee has, I don't think he's really got a role for me yet. And John, you know, I don't know, he's just doing his own thing right now. It's really cool because it's like, you know, with the success of Lawrence Fishburne and his nomination, congratulations. And my mother, Angela Bassett, in the movie, she has a nomination. So it's like, you know, it's just such a sense of pride to be involved in something so special that I think everybody's doing their own thing right now till it's time to come back together.
Let me ask you, I guess, kind of a devil's advocate question on this picture. As you know, there are people within our community who are very sensitive to broad comedy, particularly if it's a black man doing it. And have you had any reaction from anybody on this part?
Yes, I have. Basically, their concerns are that the situation, or I'm sorry, the character itself has done things that have been buffoonish in expression, and that it's representative of that of the Steppen and Fetchits of the 30s. But they have to understand, and you know, I know it's a touchy subject because in this time, a lot of the history books say that we were slaves, which we were, and that it was a very hard, repressive time for African Americans. But there is also something that can't be denied, that we were a major part of bringing up this country, especially on the western frontier. After the Civil War, the Buffalo Soldiers the black cavalrymen who fought in the Civil War were the first cavalrymen commissioned to help out the settlers on the western frontier, to fight the Native Americans and the Mexican rebels and the white rebels. And they were the Buffalo Soldiers. You know, the black hands that took care of the cows and the horses would entertain themselves with events that are now participated in the rodeos. So blacks were in great part responsible for creating rodeos. So it's these elements that, especially young black kids who grow up with Westerns, didn't know that we were, you know, not just the yes-a-masters, we were also outlaws. We were also men who owned stores in cities. And I think this film represents that, you know, in a very positive way. As far as the gestures that might be perceived as buffoonish, you know, there were situations that this character had gotten in that if I was in, I would have acted just as buffoonish, shooting yourself in the foot in a bank scene. I mean, you know, and he can't verbalize his feeling, you know, so it just comes out in this form of expression, you know, with the eyes and stuff. And, you know, it's sorry if they take things out of context. I'm sorry that they take things out of context like that, but I'm very proud of my work, and I hold responsible any character that I do. And that's how I go about what I do.
What is the best advice that you've received? Because I mean, you are becoming a role model, all these things. And when you, what someone told you at starting out, maybe it's been something that's helped you all the way through, or maybe something you had to learn.
Just whatever you do, make sure you can be proud of it, and whatever roles you take on.
We'll wait while the Beverly Hills Fire Department.
I was thinking maybe your grandmother, you might have been an influence on you. She might have.
Oh, you mean relatives?
Yeah, or anything. But sometimes someone like that.
Actually, I guess the biggest influence was my father and his entertainment. He had me around the entertainment business, and when other kids' parents were doctors and lawyers and construction workers and such, and my father was an entertainer, so it was like, oh well, if I want to entertain, I'll just get into that. I didn't know how, I didn't know where, I don't know why, and I guess that ignorance is what got me where I am. Because when people said you can't do, I said, yeah, whatever, you just don't. I'm the exception, and it was what fueled my drive.
Oh, and of course, he was the lead singer on the Main Ingredients.
Yes.
And all.
Yes.
I would think you'd be a singer.
Maybe I am.
Can you sing?
Yeah, due time. Due time.
Oh, you gotta get that.
Has he encouraged you or given you advice?
Yeah, he has. He definitely has.
What sort of advice?
Do it all. Make a couple of mistakes now while you're young, because it's different when you're older and you're like, oh, I wish I coulda, shoulda, woulda, So just do what you can now.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got some, besides this smoldering singing voice that we haven't heard? Have you got other ideas?
Yeah, I'd love to direct, actually.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, I'd love to produce. I want to go to school. Well, I don't have to go to college for it, but I definitely want to learn other languages. It drives me crazy because I travel a lot now, and people speak in different tongues, and I don't understand it. It's like I feel like kind of left out, which is funny.
Did you learn much Australian on Lightning Jet?
Yeah, little terms like the dead horse and spitting the dummy and all these funny little phrases, but never,
How have you rewarded yourself? I mean, just something absolutely frivolous, but you figure, well, I've worked hard and I deserve it. I mean, you mentioned your Wagoneer, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's about it. And the wedding, between the marriage and the house. Yeah, and the house. Yeah, I think that's
it. Tell us about your new house.
It's nice.
I mean, is it the Spanish? Is it,
No, it's in the hills, so it's like it overlooks. It's got a nice view and a pool, and I have a female Great Dane who had 11 Great Dane puppies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I kept 2 of them. So, and I sold all the rest, and so now I have 3 Great Danes running around the house. So
I hope your
bride
loves.
Yeah, she does. That's oops. I guess that would be my personal splurge for myself, is having all of these dogs.
How do you keep in such good shape?
I guess it just happens. Actually, no. I don't. Growing up, I danced a lot. I was dancing a lot, and now when I go to clubs, I'm very physical when I'm dancing and stuff, and so I'm active, and I have a trampoline at home, and I'm into ice hockey now. I play ice hockey every Sunday nights with this league because there's a couple of stories that I want to do in films about a couple of players, African American players in NHL, and so and I love the sport. I just love the sport. It's great. It's a physical game, and it's very graceful and yet violent at the same time. So it's a nice balance. I know it sounds funny, but it really is.
I hope you ever get hurt?
No, never.
I
have a few scars, but not really hurt. Hurt would be like breaking something. I've fallen really bad, but never, Lord's been watching me, I guess, but never really anything bad, and chin and stuff, but nothing really bad.
Going back to the movie, you seem to understand your character a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about his band? What do you think that he decided to just join up with, become a bank robber? Mm-hmm. In the production of that, it was like joining the circus or something.
Yeah, that's basically it. Back then, he didn't really have much in that town because they thought of him as a town dummy. It was hard for him to feel connected with anyone there, and so here came this outlaw who was wanted by everybody. And he thought, wow, I want to be like that, you know. You know, it's like a movie star to him. He's like, I want to go with him. I want to do what you do. You know, it was very, you know, this romantic image of this witty gun outlaw with the smell of death and everything. You know, it was just something that attracted him. And that's how he got involved in it. He knew he had something to add to his, you know, help him out. He knew he could give him something. Both of them actually were just two sorry guys who were trying to, you know, they came together and helped each other out. It was a nice balance.
Yeah, that's what Paul said, that
It's a buddy
your
thing.
character was like the ears and the eyes.
Yes, exactly.
What did you
And the
learn?
brains. What's he talking
I
about?
like
I said you were as smart as Paul.
Oh, no, I'm joking.
What did you learn from Paul? I mean,
Oh, so much. It's amazing to see someone who can star, produce, and write. So many hats he wore in this movie, and at the same time give as much to the other actor as any other actor I've worked with. And his sense of comic timing is amazing. He taught me, you know, he said, if you think it's funny, then it probably isn't funny. But if you're true to the character, then the situation rings true, and that's what's funny. And I was like, okay, you know, and after I started to get into the character, I realized that, you know, and subtleties and everything else, all of that plays better than the obvious.
can I ask a silly one?
Sure.
Can you cook?
Sure. It's funny. I cook. I think I cook great, but, you know, my old roommates think I can't cook, but I can cook. I enjoy what I eat.
What did you eat? What's a special meal that you
Oh, you know, I'll do anything with like chicken and vegetables and rice. I always put rice with every food, you know, just rice. If something starts to look like goulash, then I'll make a pot of rice and be like, okay, here we go.
cook better than your fries?
No.
Uh-oh.
No.